Remember the story we recently shared about the 62-year-old man kicked out by his wife?
My wife stays in London. She was the one that brought me here as a dependent. So all of a sudden, she came here and turned to another thing. Before you know it, she ejected me, pushed me out of the house.
We now have an update. Mr. Francis is doing fine, and his rent has been extended for a month. On the other hand, his wife contacted us and requested for an interview to explain her side of the story. On the agreed day, we drove for almost 2 hours to her location, only to be sent a text that her pastor insisted she should not give her side of the story. We drove another 2 hours back to the studio. We reached out to our immigration lawyer, who discussed the legal implication for Francis and many others in his position.
Yeah. First of all, it's very sad that of that story. I heard about it. It's unfortunately not a unique story. It's quite common. It's happening quite often. I think, yeah, the options that he has are very limited, because if you come as a dependent, you are pretty dependent on the main applicant. So if the relationship is no longer working, then the options that you do have is, one is to look for a job and see whether you can find a sponsor, somebody to sponsor you for employment, and then you can become the main applicant yourself. You need to switch the visa, and obviously those opportunities are quite few and far between. But that's the main option. Otherwise, they have to go look at going back home. Again, very limited, because when you come here as a visa, you're here on a temporary visa. So you are here on there's no legitimate expectation, and the taxpayer cannot be seen to be foot in the bill for a foreign national who has come here to work or has come here as a spouse of a worker. If that doesn't work out, the government will expect you to go back home. So since he has a visa, well, he can, tap into the community that he has around, but it's nothing that the government would particularly help with. The government would expect you to go back to your home country if the circumstances have changed. So it leaves you to, you have to call on friends and communities, and it shouldn't be happening, because the government, when they apply most of these visas, when they're granted, the employer have to guarantee what's called certified maintenance. They have to guarantee that these people are going to be able to care for themselves. So if the spouse mentioned to the Home Office that we are no longer together, the Home Office will then cancel that visa, give them 60 days to leave the country or to apply for a different visa. But there isn't much more help that they can get. They can rely on churches and charity, but again, as I say, that shouldn't be happening in the first place.
As couples.
I think it's a good point, because I think a lot of these marriages and relationships are suffering. They may have been married, like the case for Francis. They may have been married for several years and the issues not showed up. But you need to understand the unique circumstances that presents themselves whenever such migrants come here. You come with children, the dynamics of who is the breadwinner changes. So the jobs that, for example, the carers come and do here, it's minimum wage. It's a lot of money in Nigeria, but it's not a lot of money here. So which means you're going to have issues, new issues, which you never had to face in your marriage. So unless your marriage is very strong, you're going to struggle when you come here. And also, you need to envisage these things. So a lot of the times when you come in, when you're Japan, you're coming to the US or the UK, you are thinking about the money and the process of the visa process and all those things. But you're not thinking, hang on, my wife is going to be working nights and I'll barely be seeing her because I'll be working days. And then we have children, we have to do the school run, and I have to do, I've got to do chores that I normally don't do. You need to discuss these things, and I guess perhaps one of the things I would recommend is perhaps do some couples counseling. Get together with people who have already come here, find out how is the day-to-day life going to be, because that's what's presenting a lot of problems. Because if you don't see your wife, for example, you never really spend time because you're both work in different times. That's going to strain any marriage.
If you would like to help Mr. Francis in any way, please send us a direct message on Instagram using the handle @Migrant Channel, and we will connect you directly with him.